Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to look at the top 5 things nobody tells you about owning a husky. Everyone loves huskies. They're beautiful, funny, full of personality, and honestly it's easy to see why so many people want one. But what a lot of people don't realise is that living with a husky every day is very different from just watching cute videos online. Because as amazing as they are, huskies come with a level of chaos, energy and attitude that people really don't talk about enough. After living with Milo, I can confidently say there are definitely a few things nobody warns you about. So if you're thinking of getting a husky, or you already have one and just want to feel understood, here are the top 5 things nobody tells you about owning a husky. One of the first things people notice about huskies is how smart they are. What they usually notice right after that is huskies are not exactly eager to obey. Milo, come on, bedtime. And that's where people get caught off guard. On your bed. Because a smart dog doesn't always mean an easy dog. Come on. Huskies understand a lot. The problem is they also like to think for themselves. So instead of automatically doing what you ask, they often seem to stop and decide whether your request is actually worth responding to. And sometimes the answer is clearly no. That's what makes them so funny, but it's also what makes them challenging. A husky can know exactly what you want and still act like they've never ever heard that word in their life. With Milo, there are definitely moments where it's obvious he understands perfectly. He just has other plans. Sit. Sit. That's why consistency matters so much with this breed. Because the second you get lazy, unclear or inconsistent, they'll notice. And once they notice, they'll be absolutely using that information against you. Owning a husky sometimes feels less like training a dog and more like negotiating with a tiny furry lawyer. Most people know huskies are energetic. What they don't always understand is just how much that energy affects everyday life. This is not usually the kind of dog that's satisfied with one short walk and a quiet afternoon. Huskies were bred to move and work and keep going. So when you live with one, that energy becomes part of your schedule too. It means walks, play, stimulation, attention, and finding ways to keep them mentally engaged. Because if that energy has nowhere to go, it'll show up somewhere else, usually in a way you won't enjoy. A bored husky can get destructive very quickly. Not because they're mean, not because they're trying to punish you. They're just understimulated, and now they've decided to create their own entertainment. And that's really good news for your furniture, your shoes, or anything else left within reach. With Milo, it's very clear when he's had enough stimulation, and it's also very clear when he hasn't. A tired husky is manageable. A bored husky is creative. And that is not always a good thing. Nobody really prepares people for just how dramatic huskies can be. And not just dramatic in a cute way, dramatic in a full emotional performance kind of way. Huskies are one of the most expressive dog breeds out there. They don't just bark. They grumble, howl, complain, argue, and make the kind of sounds that make it seem like they are deeply offended by even the smallest inconvenience. Waiting too long for food? Tragic. Being told no? Unacceptable. Seeing something outside exciting and not being allowed to chase it? Absolutely devastating. And the funniest part is how serious they seem about all of it. With Milo, even small moments can suddenly turn into a full conversation. My ball. No. No. Mine. No. That huge personality is part of what makes huskies so entertaining. But it also means life with them is rarely quiet, rarely subtle, and almost never boring. Living with a husky is a bit like living with someone who has strong opinions about everything and no problem expressing them loudly. One thing people definitely underestimate is how much huskies love to run. And the problem is, they don't just love running with you. They also love running away from you. Huskies are curious, athletic, fast and easily distracted by anything they find more interesting than whatever you're offering in that moment. Which means outdoors, they often need a lot more caution than people expect. A lot of owners imagine having that perfect off-leash dog that stays nearby, listens instantly, and comes flying back the second they're called. And while that might be possible in some cases, Huskies are not a breed you can casually trust like that, because once a Husky locks onto something exciting, their brain can move quickly from relaxed to mission mode. And once that happens, good luck convincing them that your idea is more exciting than theirs. That doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means they are very capable of making bold decisions. So with Huskies, secure spaces matter, training matters, and good habits matter. And realistic expectations matter too. Because sometimes all it takes is one squirrel, one open gate, or one interesting sound for the situation to change very fast. Everyone says Huskies shed. That is true. What they leave out is that the fur doesn't just show up once in a while. It becomes part of the environment. Huskies have a thick double coat and they shed a lot. And when they really start blowing coat, it feels almost impressive how much fur can come off one dog. It ends up on your clothes, your floor, your furniture, your car, and somehow places that don't even make sense. You clean it up, more appears. You brush them, and somehow there's still more. You vacuum, lint roll, shake things out, and still walk away wearing fur. At some point, you stop asking why there's hair everywhere and just accept that this is your life now. And to be fair, that beautiful coat is part of what makes Huskies look so striking. But if you get one, you're also signing up for the maintenance that comes with it. Owning a Husky means learning to live with fluff on a level you probably did not think was possible. Now, with all that said, Huskies really are incredible dogs. Yes, they're stubborn. Yes, they're dramatic. Yes, they can be exhausting, loud, chaotic, and covered in enough fur to build a second dog. But they're also funny, clever, full of personality, and impossible to forget. And that's exactly why so many people love them. Life with a Husky may not always be easy, but it is almost never boring. So if you already have a Husky, let me know what nobody warned you about. And if you're thinking of getting one, hopefully this gives you a more honest picture of what life with them is actually like. And judging by Milo, I'd say every single one of these is true.